screen visible? My screen visible? I have started the recording. So DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. It is used to configure IP address to client machine dynamically, automatically. Okay, and how DHCP work? How DHCP works, guys?
DORA process.
DHCP works on DORA process. So for an example here I have, and see, for the DHCP I can use any operating system. I can enable DHCP service on Windows machine also, like Windows Server, and in most of the time we are using Windows Server only, right? Windows Server 2019, 22, like that, right, for DHCP. Or if you have a small organization, you can also use Cisco router. Cisco router or your switch, you can use Cisco switch as a DHCP server, or any other device. Your broadband router can also behave like a DHCP server. There are two types of devices in DHCP. One is DHCP client and another one is DHCP server. DHCP client and DHCP server. Client means who need IP address.
End user.
Yes, who need IP address, and server is who will provide the IP address. Right, so client will always request for IP address to the server. And DHCP works at which layer? It is application layer protocol. Application layer means layer 7. Means it is going to generate their all messages at which layer?
Application layer.
At application layer, at layer 7. Right? At transport layer, it uses which protocol?
TCP.
Not TCP.
UDP then.
Yes, it uses UDP at transport layer. And what is the port number?
67, 66 for writing
67,
client,
68.
67 for
67 and
client
68.
and 68 for server.
67 and 68. 67 for
Client.
And 68 for client, I think.
58 for the client, 67 is
For
for
DHCP server. Okay. So if client need IP address, for an example, I have a scenario like this. I have one switch, and on the switch is connected to one router, and let's say this router is my DHCP server. And here I have some clients. And these clients need IP address from DHCP server. You know how to configure DHCP on Cisco router? Simply I need to create pool.
The switch can be the core switch or access switch?
Any switch.
Any switch.
It can be distribution layer switch, it can be access layer switch, doesn't matter. Right? PC1, P2, and PC3. Okay, and this router is my DHCP server, DHCP. So on the DHCP, yeah.
The two scenarios comes when when DHCP server in the same subnet and when it is in different subnet.
Yeah, right now DHCP server is in same subnet.
Okay, fine.
We are talking about first scenario. Okay, so here we'll create one pool. In the pool, let's say network is 10.1.1.0/24. Right, and one IP address I am running on router number 1, so we can exclude that IP address on DHCP. Let's say 10.1.1.100. That is running on router. Right. And after that, guys, under pool we can not only define the network, we can also define default gateway IP address, DNS server IP address, and TP server IP address, right? So DHCP services provide many types of addresses to client.
Means we can make DHCP server as and TP server as well.
No, it can provide the IP address of NTP server. What is the IP address of NTP server? So that devices can synchronize their time,
Time, correct.
right? So on the DHCP server, we can exclude any IP address. Similarly, we can reserve any IP address. Reserve means
Store.
for an example, here I have one server connected to this switch. On this server, I am hosting one application. One application is there, app1. And this router is, let's say, connected to internet, and outside user from the internet are accessing this server. So guys, this server is getting IP address from DHCP server, and DHCP is dynamic in nature. After some time, IP address is going to be changed. Am I right? Let's say now DHCP server have configured the IP here 10.1.1.5. Right, so outside user is accessing this application through this IP address. Maybe you have configured the static net on your router, right? Doesn't matter how you have made the reachability from the internet. But after some time, if DHCP server is going to change the IP address from 5 to 6, then what will happen? You have to change the network NAT setting, NAT rule. You have to edit the NAT rule configuration on router. So here on the server, we need a static IP address. IP address of the server should be fixed. So I have two options. Either I can manually configure IP address over here, or I can reserve one IP address for this server. Like I know the MAC address of this server is, for an example, A. So I can tell to my DHCP server that, bro, whenever you will request, you will receive request for an IP address from A source MAC address. Then you should always provide this IP 10.1.1.5. This particular thing is called reservation. Right, so these are two extra feature of DHCP, excluding the address, right? If you want to exclude any IP address from the DHCP pool, you can exclude that. Or if you want to reserve any IP address with MAC address, you can do that. That particular thing is called reservation. Right? Why it's required? Because to understand the need of DHCP reservation, you have to understand the lease duration of DHCP. Is duration of DHCP, because as I told you, server should have a static IP address, the permanent IP address, because maybe I am running a static NAT here on the router. But if DHCP server is going to provide any IP address to any client machine, it will start running one timer. That is called lease duration. By default, lease duration is what, guys?
24 hours.
Lease duration means
कितनी देर तक IP रह सकती
for
है?
how long a client machine can use the DHCP IP address, right? And this is by default 24 hours. Within this 24 hours, many things will happen, you know, like after 50% of time. And you can also change this timer, right? You can configure minimum 1 minute, right? Minimum lease duration can be 1 minute. And maximum lease duration can be 999 days, 23 hours and 59 seconds. This can be the maximum lease duration.
So during the change in IP, there is any issue like flapping or drops?
No any issue. Only issue is device will get different IP address. So like the PCs, these PCs should have the dynamic IP address, no problem at all, because no one is going to access this PC. Only the PCs are going to forward traffic towards internet or maybe towards the server. But on the server, we need fixed IP address.
Static
For
IP.
that, we need to reserve the IP. And you know, let's say my lease duration is 24 hours. So after 50% of time, like after 50% of time means after how long?
12 hours.
After 50% of time means after 12 hours. What will happen?
Again renew हो जाएगी.
No. Client will send the renewal request message. Client will send renewal request message. See guys, first of all, whenever client is requesting for IP address to the DHCP server, there are two chances. Maybe there is reachability, maybe DHCP server is reachable and the services are working fine, or maybe DHCP server is not reachable, or maybe service is not working fine. Am I right? If service is working fine and DHCP server is reachable, then client will get IP address. Again, after 50% of time, when client will send request, there are two chances. After 50% of time, client is going to send renewal request. And maybe DHCP server is reachable, connectivity is there, or connectivity is not there. If there is no connectivity, then after 12 hours, it will plus the IP address. After 12 hours, it will not use that IP address. Even again after 25% means half time, like here it is 50% of time, and after 25% more means something like 87.5% time, it is again going to send renewal request message. If there is no reachability, then it will not get reply. If there is reachability, then DHCP server will renew the IP address, right? And timer will reset to again 100%, means for 24 hours. Like this, it will be working.
Sir, question है, after see IP is assigned for 24 hours. So after 50% of time,
Yes,
so 12 hours, correct? So
yes,
12 hours के बाद में there would be a request to the DHCP server to renew that IP, correct?
yes.
If it DHCP server is live, then it is
Then
fine.
timer
It
will
will provide
reset.
new IP.
Then timer will
Okay,
reset to again 24 hours. Means for
24
next
hours.
24
If
hours, it is going to use this IP address.
okay, and if it is not reachable, then it would flush the
No,
current
then
IP
again
address.
after around 87.5% of time, it is going to send renewal
One
message.
more. Okay,
Again, there is chance of connectivity
renewal.
or there is no connectivity. If there
Correct.
is connectivity, then timer will reset. Otherwise,
After 24 hours, it will flush the IP.
yes.
Okay, ठीक ठीक है sir.
After
मतलब फिर भी
100% of time, what will happen? It will get IP address from a pipa.
correct 169 series.
Yes. Once 100% time will complete, means 24 hour, and DHCP server is not reachable, then your client machine will get IP address from APIPA. You might have seen many time in the production that client machine is getting IP from APIPA. That means your DHCP server is not reachable from last 24 hours. Right? And if I will talk about the DORA process, so how DORA process is going to work? Let's say I have the client machine here, and here is the server, DHCP server. So client machine, let's say PC 1 and DHCP. DHCP. That means which port number is enabled here. If you have configured this server as DHCP server, then port number 67 will be enabled. And here, once you will click on IP address DHCP, port number 68 will be enabled over here, right?
Correct.
Let's say MAC address of PC is A, MAC address of this server is B. So if this client machine needs IP address from the DHCP server, and on DHCP server, let's say my IP is here 10.1.1.1, and I have created one pool, and in the pool network is 10.1.1.0/24. Gateway IP address is, let's say, 10.1.1.100. DNS server for an example 8.8.8. But the client machine don't know who is DHCP server, right? What is the IP address of DHCP? And even client machine don't have IP address, so it will generate one discover message at application layer. Discover message. In the discover message, source IP address is going to be what? 0.0.0.
0.0.0.
Source MAC is going to be what?
A.
PC MAC address.
Right, this is DHCP discover message at application layer. After that, DHCP will forward it to transport layer. Transport layer is going to add source port number 68, destination port number 67. Then transport layer will hand over it to network layer. Network layer will add source IP and destination IP. What will be source IP? 0.0.0. Destination IP 255.255.255.55 because DHCP server is unknown.
Now,
Right?
sir, suppose there is an issue like IP reachability issue. So how can we troubleshoot this? Can we use DHCP server only or like a client only?
Where is the issue? Between client and server?
No, no. That DHCP, suppose there is a /24 IP on DHCP and it has assigned to every client. So now for particular IP there is an issue, IP reachability issue. So like the IP will be changed. Like the DHCP server is working fine. So after that there is an issue occurred like IP reachability issue. So how it will be resolved? So
After
can we
getting the
suppose?
IP address on the client machine, there is IP reachability. IP reachability to whom? To DHCP
Any
server.
application like customers application, he is not able to access the website
So
to
you
log
have
in
to
the.
request for the IP address again from the PC.
Achha. Okay.
See,
Sir, is it supposed to like use the DHCP server only? Like, can I trace from DHCP server only?
you can check the binding table of DHCP server. Which IP address it have assigned. Now network layer will hand over it to data link layer 2. Layer 2 will also add layer 2 header, Ethernet header, and Ethernet header source MAC and destination MAC will be there. What will be source MAC? A and destination MAC?
A. Runtime as
All
forecast.
F, all F.
Yes, and on to DHCP server. So 12 time F broadcast message. And then it will forward to DHCP. When DHCP server will receive it at layer 2, first of all, definitely it will check layer 2. Destination MAC, it is broadcast. It can be for the server also. It will check layer 3 information. Again, it is broadcast. It will check layer 4 information. It will see destination port is 79. Server is going to check that 67 port number is not 79. 67 port number is enable or disable. If it is enable, again at transport layer it will accept and it will hand over the rest all traffic this discover message to DHCP. And once DHCP server will receive the discover message, it is going to generate offer message at same layer, application layer, right? And in the offer message, it will offer the IP address to the client machine. So see, this discover message is broadcast at layer 2 also, at layer 3
Also.
Offer message will be also broadcast because still machine, this PC don't have IP address.
Correct.
But at layer 2, it can be unicast, right? The offer message.
Yes.
Offer message at layer 2 can be unicast. But it is going to be broadcast. Offer message will be also broadcast at layer 3 as well as at layer 2. After receiving offer message, client machine will send request message and then acknowledgement message. That's it. This is the DHCP process.
So, sir, in offer message, it would provide a pool of IP address, right?
Yes. Range of
And
IP
then,
address.
yes, and from that range, client will select one of the IP address.
Yes.
Okay.
That's also depends on the operating system. Some operating system provides only one IP address in the offer message.
Okay.
Right, but when you are configuring DHCP service on your Windows server, it will share the range of IP address, a pool of IP address, and the client machine will pick any one IP address from there. This is how DORA will work if the DHCP server and client belongs to same subnet, right?
Correct.
But if I have two sites, one in, let's say Delhi, one in Bangalore. Both are connected to through internet. And here is my DHCP server at different sites, and client machines are at different site. In this case, there will be issue, right, guys? In this case, there will be issue. What is the issue now? Client machine will still generate discover message. It will forward to router, switch, and then switch will forward to router. But router cannot process it. Router cannot process the broadcast message from one interface to another interface because router divide broadcast domain. Router has per port broadcast domain. Right? These are two different broadcast domain.
Okay.
So here we have to configure what? Helper address. Here I will tell to the router that DHCP server IP address is, let's say, 100.1.1.1 public IP address. And this side I am running a static net, right, for this public IP address. Or maybe I have one router here and two switches are there. Here is my DHCP clients and here is my DHCP server. Again, in this case, there is what is the issue, guys? Same issue. Router 1 cannot forward broadcast message from one interface to another interface. Let's say this is 0/0 F0/0 and this is 0/1. If this client machine is going to generate discover message, as you know, discover message is broadcast, right? Source MAC is PC1 MAC address, destination MAC address is 12 times F. It will forward to switch. Switch will forward one copy from their all interfaces. Router will receive it on F0/0 and router is going to discard it. Right? So on the gateway, on your gateway, you are going to configure helper address. Right? For an example, my DHCP server IP address is 20.1.1.1. So I am going to say your helper IP address is 20.1.1.1. Now router knows the IP address of DHCP server is 20.1.1.1. Whenever this client is going to generate discover message, what this router will do? This router will say, okay, this is broadcast message, right? It is discover message, but helper address is configured this time. So router is going to convert this broadcast message into unicast address. It is going to change from source 0.0.02 their own interface IP address, right?
Means
Let's say 10.1.1.100.
and
There
that
are
interface IP address is configured where, sir? On router
their
0/0?
gateway IP address. Your gateway
Okay.
IP address.
Okay. Okay.
Right? Source MAC is going to be their exit interface MAC address, and destination MAC address is going to be DHCP MAC address. Right? And then this time DHCP server will receive unicast discover message. DHCP server will generate offer message for whom? For your gateway router. And again, router will convert it into broadcast and then it will forward to my client machine. Right? So whenever your DHCP server belongs to different subnet, very carefully you have to configure the helper address on correct interface, then only it will work.
So,
Yeah.
is there any possibility of IP duplicity issue?
In the DHCP, no, there is no chance because DHCP server is maintaining binding table. Whatever IP address it is going to assign to the client machine, it will make one entry in their table. It is maintaining one table, right? So there is no any chance of duplicate IP address here in case of DHCP. That is the issue in manual configuration.
Okay. suppose I don't have any IPs remaining, so it will assign same IP or different IP.
If the IP address is not available in the pool,
हाँ.
then it is going to remove the first IP address which it have assigned to the client machine. Right? It will update the table from first MAC address. Right? So this is how your DORA process works in case of relay agent. Right? So two cases are there. One if both belongs to same subnet, and one if both belongs to different subnet. And relay agent configuration is required. And configuring DHCP on the router is very simple. Many times we have seen, right, how to enable DHCP, how to create the pool. Still there is some issue, guys. What is the issue now? For an example here, you know, whenever client machine is generating discover message, client machine don't know where is DHCP
Server.
server, right? Whenever the client machine will generate discover message, it is waiting for the offer message. If it will receive offer message from any DHCP server, it will send the request message, right? So if one attacker is going to connect their DHCP server over here, let's say, let me get the another scenario. I have again same one router here. The router is connected to one switch, and this switch is connected to, let's say, some client machines. And here is my DHCP server. And my router is connected to finally internet as well. TC2 and DHCP. Right? Let's say DHCP server IP address is again 10.1.1.1. The gateway IP address is 10.1.1.100. Right? And this client will get IP address from the DHCP server. So you know the process. Client machine will generate DHCP discover message, and the server will generate offer message. This is the process. But what if there is an attacker here, and if that attacker will provide the rogue IP address? Let's say this is rogue DHCP server or attacker. Right? They have also enabled the DHCP service on their server, and now you are going to generate discover message to get DHCP to get IP address. You will forward the discover message to switch. Switch will forward one message from here, one message from here, one message from here, one message from here. And this time attacker will also generate offer message, and DHCP or genuine DHCP server will also generate offer message.
Okay.
Whom offer message your PC will accept? It's depend. Your PC will receive which offer message first. If it is going to receive the offer message of attacker first, it will use IP address from the attacker pool. If it is going to receive offer message of genuine DHCP server first, then it is going to use the IP address of genuine DHCP server. Right? So what will happen if the attacker will offer different IP address? Let's say IP address that the attacker is providing is 10.1.1.5, and gateway IP address is 10.1.1.200. The genuine server is providing IP same 10.1.1.5, but the gateway is 10.1.1.100. If the client machine is going to assign this IP address, guys, what will happen? It will access internet through attacker server, right? Attacker can connect their machine to internet. Now you will have internet access, and you will never realize that you are not forwarding traffic to the genuine gateway. You are forwarding all the traffic to attacker machine. Now they can capture your traffic, everything here. right? You will never realize that you have the wrong gateway IP address. This is the issue. Your PC will generate ARP request message for this gateway, not 100 dot, sorry, 10.1.1.100. It will generate ARP request for this IP address, right? Because gateway is now different. And this particular type of attack is called DHCP snooping attack. To avoid this attack, what I can do? To avoid this attack, what I can do? I can enable DHCP snooping.
Snooping.
What will happen when I will enable DHCP snooping on the switch? Switch is going to make all the port as untrusted. Untrusted for DHCP, not for actual data or for any other protocol. The all ports are untrusted port for DHCP. On the untrusted port, my switch will never receive offer message, any message of DHCP, or it will not send any message of DHCP. Now let's say if I have enabled the DHCP snooping here, what will happen? All the port will become untrusted. Now if the client machine will request for IP address, this client machine will not get IP, right? Even there is
Correct.
attacker also. So now I can tell to my switch that this port is your trusted port. Make it trusted. And rest all the ports are untrusted. So now switch will only accept DHCP offer message on this interface. If even the attacker will send offer message, switch is going to not accept it, because this port is the untrusted port. And this way we can protect the attack.
So connected ports we can keep on trusted.
The port which is connected to DHCP server will be trusted port. Let's say I am running DHCP server on the router, then this port is going to be trusted port, and rest all the port is going to be untrusted port.
And then what if in the case DHCP server exists on different location or different site then also?
Then also, yes.
Okay.
Then also, if guys DHCP server is located at different site connected to router, here is my DHCP server. So this port should be trusted port only, right? Because here only switch should receive the DHCP message. Again, these all ports is going to be untrusted port. Clear?
So, sir, from trusted to untrusted communication can happen, right?
Yeah, communication will happen. Yes, that is untrusted for DHCP, not for the user data. All the other things are working exactly same. This is DHCP snooping, brother. DHCP.
Yeah, good.
Only it will only impact the DHCP messages, not any other messages. Just 1 minute. Okay. Any question, guys?
So the switch which we are using, it should be in transparent mode or
Doesn't matter.
DHCP?
Can be any mode switch. Switch can be in any mode. Doesn't matter.
So remote side, how it will be? If you can, one scenario. Let's suppose this router R2 is connecting to this R1. So how we can uh, make it, or R2 location, how we can protect it?
R1 is connected to.
Means some R2 router, and that is our remote site, and we are connecting as a GRE tunnel only.
Okay.
We connected with the GRE.
Okay.
Okay, now R1 location, our DHCP server is present, right? So in that case, if suppose from the R2 side any attacker has come, then how we can protect that case? Or traffic will come, means what I understood, traffic will come from the R1 side, so we will make this port as a trusted port, right?
Tell me where is the issue? Like here is the R2.
Okay.
This is different side.
Yes.
R2.
So suppose you downside you make A and B boxes, right? So B is our attacker, if I imagine.
This one.
Yes, A and B, and B is attacker. Yeah, A is attacker. Okay. So how we can protect that time? It will
Here this
not get.
port is the untrusted port, na bro?
Achha.
This is untrusted port.
Okay.
All the ports is going to be untrusted.
Okay. So misconnected ports only we will make as a trusted
Yeah,
ports.
only this port is going to be trusted port here.
Yeah. Okay, access port we cannot make in switch one also, PC1 and PC2 we will not make as a trusted then.
No, all will be untrusted. All the access port is going to be untrusted.
Understood. Okay. Understood.
And also will enable the DHCP snooping on the switch. Switch will start maintaining one table called which will start maintaining a one table called DHCP snooping binding table. Snooping binding table, where it will store which ports are trusted port and which ports are untrusted. There will be also information of IP address and MAC address. Let's say the DHCP server have assigned the IP PC1 is 10.1.1.1 or let's say 10, and PC is 10.1.1.20. MAC address of PC1 is, let's say for an example A, MAC address of PC for an example B, right? And this is 0/1 interface. All the ports are in VLAN 10, let's say 0/2 and 0/3. So in the snooping binding table, what will be the information? That on my 0/0 interface, a device is there whose MAC address is A and their IP address is 10.1.1.10. Right? We can either make this table statically or it can make dynamically. On the 0/1 interface, device is connected whose MAC address is nothing but the B and their IP address is 10.1.1.20. Right? Similarly, like for all the interfaces, how it is beneficial? It is beneficial for ARP inspection. Dynamic
Okay,
ARP
yes.
inspection.
So same thing. Means suppose A will now disconnect, so again it will get new IP address, right?
First of all, see what is the issue. Still there is one issue, that is, let's say here I have one switch and again router. Here I have client machine. Okay, and this is my gateway. Gateway is connected to again internet. Internet. and there is one attacker. Attacker. This time this attacker is trying to resolve the MAC address. It will try to generate the ARP reply message. Turn it. On the internet, let's say there is one server 8.8.8 or 1.1.1. Here my IP address is 10.1.1.100. Here my IP address is 10.1.1.1. Let's say attacker is using IP 10.1.1.5. So if I am going to ping 8.8.8 from here, ping 8.8.8.8, and this client machine got the IP address from the DHCP server, it will also get the default gateway IP address 10.1.1. Sorry, 10.1.1.100.
100.
The gateway IP address. Right. So if I am going to ping 8.8.8, first my machine will look up for the destination MAC address. Right. The destination IP address. Destination IP address belongs to same subnet or different subnet. If the
Different.
destination IP address belongs to different subnet, then destination MAC will be what? MAC address of gateway. It will look up their ARP table to find the MAC address of gateway, which is 10.1.1.100. The MAC address is not available in the ARP table. What will happen? It will generate ARP request message. Am I right?
Correct.
In the ARP request message, source IP will be 10.1.1. Target IP is going to be what? 10.1.1.100. Right? Target MAC address is going to be 0.0.0. And at layer 2, the ARP request message. At layer 2, source MAC will be the PC MAC address. Let's say A. The MAC
So
address over here.
target MAC would be F, na?
Yeah.
Nahi?
Yes. A, B,
Yeah.
C is the MAC address, right? So source MAC address is going to be A. Destination MAC address is going to be all F. Right? And it will forward this ARP request message to switch. If I'm not wrong, it will forward this ARP request message to switch, and switch will forward one copy to this attacker, one copy to router.
Gateway.
Gateway, right? If all the users on this switch are, the genuine user of the company, then everything will work fine. Only the router is going to generate ARP reply message, right? But if this is the attacker, then this attacker can also generate ARP response message, right? It can generate the ARP reply message in the response of ARP request. And what if the attacker will generate ARP reply, and if it is going to share their on MAC address, like source IP address 10.1.1.100 and source MAC address is, let's say, C, right? At layer 2, source MAC again C, destination MAC A, and it will forward to switch. First of all, switch will be perform address learning. It will learn A MAC address on this interface, and when it will receive ARP reply message from the attacker, it is going to learn C MAC address on the receiving interface, and after that it will check destination. Destination MAC will be A, right? So entry is already there. It will forward to PC. Now PC will get whose MAC address. Now according to PC1, the MAC address of gateway is C, right? So it will forward traffic to attacker, not to genuine gateway. So like this, anyone can generate ARP reply message in the response whenever client machine will generate ARP for gateway. The client machine can have different MAC address for the gateway, right? This is not the correct MAC address of gateway. Am I right?
Correct.
So this is also one issue. This is called ARP poisoning. What we called it? ARP poisoning attack. And to avoid this attack, which can use again which table? DHCP Snooping table. But you have to enable the dynamic ARP inspection here. Right? So dynamic ARP inspection is used for security purpose. Whenever we will enable DHCP snooping on the switch, it will maintain binding database table. In the binding database table, it have entry, right? It have what entry, guys? It have entry that my 0/0 interface, 0/1 interface, let's say, and 0/2 interface, let's say, have information that On 0/0 IP address is 10.1.1.100 and MAC address is B. Have knowledge, right? On 0/2 interface, the IP address is 10.1.1.5 and the MAC address is C. And on 0/1 interface, IP address is 10.1.1.1 and the MAC address is A. So now this time, if the attacker is going to generate this ARP reply message, Switch will verify it. See, after enabling dynamic ARP inspection, Switch will start inspecting the ARP messages, right? It is going to inspect this message. It is going to check with their binding table, a snooping binding table, that okay, I am receiving this ARP reply message on 0/2. Let me check destination MAC address is same or not. So on 0/2, source IP address is 5 and destination MAC address, so their MAC address is C, right? But in the ARP request reply message, IP source IP is 10.100 and MAC address is,
Reject.
it is not matching with the table, right? So Switch will discard it. It will reject it. Right? But if I will talk about this ARP request message, guys, sorry, ARP reply message. So in the ARP reply message, information will be like this: ARP reply, ARP, right? Source IP 10.1.1.5 and source MAC, sorry, destination IP,
C.
target IP,
10.1.1.
source MAC, C and destination MAC, right?
A.
So this IP address and this
Are
MAC
binded
address
to 0/2.
is allow on 0/2 interface only, right? But it is sending the MAC address, source MAC address is going to be what here? 100. It is a snooping the source. Attacker is snooping the source. Instead of 10.5, it is saying this is the C is the MAC address of your gateway 100. So Switch can understand it with the help of DHCP snooping table, and it can discard the message. So no one can generate the reply message. Let me enable the DHCP snooping first on the switch. Okay, let me show you the practical. After that, I will come on this point again. Okay, is theory clear, guys?
Sir, theory, I have one more question. By
Sir, one more
total, how
question.
many types of DHCP messages are there?
Four. Discover offer request reply.
Sir, there is DHCP NAC as well, right?
So that
Negative
we don't
acknowledge.
need to learn.
और सर इंटरव्यू में पूछते हैं
तो आप ऐसे गूगल कर सकते हो ना क्या होता है, समझ में आ जाएगा अभी आप.
Sir, one question.
Yeah.
Sir, so as you told, means from the switch downside, access ports will be untrusted ports, right?
Yes.
So how they will get then with IP address from the DHCP if they are in untrusted? So maybe attacker can
On
come
the
from
untrusted port, what I told you, switch will. What switch will do, guys? On the untrusted port.
MAC binding.
the make mine.
Untrusted port, when you will enable the DHCP snooping, all the port will become untrusted. On the untrusted port, can switch receive DHCP discover message?
No.
Yes, bro.
Okay.
It cannot receive DHCP offer message. Right? So on the access port, will never accept. It will never expect offer message, right? Only DHCP connected port should receive offer message.
Okay, understood.
Sir, I think उसमें है अपने GNS में है, I think.
Let's say this is my router has router for the DHCP. DHCP.
सर एक चीज पूछनी थी while you are creating. You have said कि हम DHCP snooping we will enable on access ports, right? कि ताकि all the ports can become trusted, untrusted, and then we can enable one port as trusted which we want, correct? So sir, वो on in that case we have to enable uh, DHCP untrusted हो गया, एक सेकंड सर ये ट्रंक पोर्ट्स पे भी करना पड़ेगा अपने को
सारे
if
पोर्ट पे
it
तो
okay
आप ग्लोबली इनेबल करोगे DHCP
okay
सारे पोर्ट आपको बाद में एक पोर्ट को ट्रस्टेड बना
करेक्ट तो सर अगर बहुत बड़ी टोपोलॉजी है करेक्ट सो हम गेटवे वाले पोर्ट को ही लेट्स से स्विच के पोर्ट्स को बनाना है तो गेटवे which is going towards the gateway that would be trusted all other would be untrusted करेक्ट ये फंडा ले सकते हैं
ना
बिकॉज आई हैव सीन कि ट्रंक पोर्ट्स को भी कर देते हैं इन लाइव नेटवर्क में प्रोडक्शन में ट्रंक पोर्ट को कर देते हैं अलग अलग वन बाय वन करते हैं मतलब ग्लोबली ना करके सर
First of all, let me do one thing. Let me set up the DHCP server here, and my subnet is going to be subnet 10 dot 10.1.0/24. My subnet and IP address on the router is 10.1.1.100. The IP address of DHCP server is if you want to see the DHCP messages, what you can do, you can capture the link or you can enable the debugging on the DHCP server, like on your router. Host name, here I am saying DHCP interface F0/0 search IP address 10.1.1.100.255.255.255.0 exit no IP routing and IP call gateway 10.1.1.100. Then we need to create one pool. So IP DHCP pool, let's say name is Cisco, and here my network is 10.1.1.0 255.255.255.0. Default gateway IP address is 10.1.1.100. DNS server IP address is 8. And then I am already using two IP address from this pool. So say IP DHCP exclude address 10.1.1.100 and 10.1.200. Right now my DHCP server is done. Now let me take router. Let me router as
sir one more thing we can do that reservation thing
yeah, for the reservation I have to use DNS. I think on this router it will not work. That command is not
okay
7200 router. 36 router I have to use. that IP address 10.1.1.100.55.255.0. I will show you in the
हम्म।
था ना ऐप था.
सर मैंने देखा था DHCP का, आपने एक बार
Router 1 is done. So IP interface brief. So you can see the IP address on router fine. Now I will access the PC. If I am going to configure IP here, IP DHCP.
helper.
Is not required. DHCP comes to say
Okay.
okay. DORA processes you can see. This machine got the IP 10.1.1.1. And if you will check DHCP server binding table, so IP DHCP pool. This command is going to show you the pool, right? Like you can see, my pool name is Cisco, and the range of IP addresses over here, the gateway and those all things. You can verify it. Then we can check so IP DHCP binding table. So you can see that this DHCP server have assigned this IP address to which machine? To
This
this
machine.
machine. Right? Type is automatic. It something you.
So sir, sometime when the user is not able to get the IP address, तो हम DHCP team को ये बोलते हैं कि can you please check the request with this MAC address, correct?
Yes.
कि
This is
आ रही है
going
कि
to
नहीं
yeah. So
yeah,
this is going to check this table.
okay.
Right. You can also check the ARP table here. Okay, now everything is working fine, but guys, if there is attacker, then there will be issue. So let me do one thing. Let me enable DHCP snooping over here. Before enabling the DHCP snooping, if I will run command here, so IP DHCP and snooping. So you can see the output before enabling, right? The trusted port, allowed option, nothing is there. And now here I will enable DHCP snooping globally. Command is going to be IP DHCP snooping. But this command will not enable DHCP snooping for VLAN. Just I want to enable DHCP snooping for VLAN 1 because by default all the ports are in VLAN 1. So I will use command IP DHCP snooping VLAN 1. And so IP DHCP snooping. You can see the same output. That means all the ports are untrusted. Is there any trusted port? No. Now if the client machine will try to get IP from the DHCP server, as we here it is. Let's say here I am configuring static IP address 10.1.1/24.1, let's 99.
7.
And now if I will request for IP address to the DHCP server, IP DHCP, will I get IP?
No.
Now I will not get IP address from the DHCP server. Reason? All the ports are untrusted port, right? So now go to your switch and configure one port as trusted port. Which port should be trusted port? Ethernet? 0/.
0/3.
0/3, and I am saying IP DHCP snooping trust. The command to make a port trusted. So after running this command, what will happen? This port will become trusted port, and then switch will allow the DHCP message over here. Right now, so IP DHCP snooping. Now you can see trusted is, yes, which port? 0/port. Right again,
And
yeah.
and if remote location would have, then we would have configure R1 port also a trusted port,
Yes,
right?
Not R1, E1/0 switch port, right?
this port
Exactly.
only.
Yes.
On the remote side, on your trunk link, you have to enable. Again, I
Yes.
am going to say IP DHCP. What happened now?
सर आई
IP
थिंक हमें
CP
गेटवे वाला आई थिंक हमें ये गेटवे वाला पोर्ट भी सर ट्रस्टेड करना पड़ेगा.
पे जो है रिले एजेंट हम कर रहे हैं ना DHCP, it is actually not working because of option 82. Let me do one thing on the switch. Let me disable the option 82. No IP DHCP snooping permission option.
नहीं नहीं.
DHCP permission option. Now let me cover. Now DORA process is working. Actually, when we enable DHCP snooping on switch, the relay agent service automatically enabled. So that we need this command to disable option 80, or we can provide the information of relay agent here, right? Like it will work on remote side. On the remote side switch, you have to configure relay agent IP address, then the DHCP server IP address. Now on the switch, I will check the verification command. So IP DHCP ping, and binding is there, snooping table, binding table is C. The binding table and a snooping table, what is the difference? The binding table, you can see the IP address is also showing, right? So it will only accept the message if source IP is this and destination IP is this on this particular interface. Remember the dynamic ARP inspection, guys. ARP poisoning attack, right? So that's why this table is going to help you in case of ARP poisoning attack, right? If I will assign IP to PC2 also, IP DHCP DHCP
सर ये स्नूपिंग की वजह से ही नहीं ले रहा वैसे तो. मैं तो पहले ले रहा था.
को टेबल बनाता है. Now on the switch, all the informations are there, right? On the ports, what is the IP address, what is the MAC address. So if for an example, if now I am going to ping 8.8.8 from this PC, whose IP address is 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, and let's say this is attacker. So I will ping to 8.8.8. It will generate ARP request message. The ARP request message source IP will be 10.1, target IP address will be 10.100. Source MAC will be the MAC address of PC1. Destination MAC will be all F. Source MAC, let's say one MAC address. BPC forward to switch. Right. So switch will inspect this. This is ARP message. So if it is ARP message, it will inspect it. Switch is going to inspect it with this binding table. That it will check. See, I am receiving traffic on which interface? I am receiving traffic on Ethernet 0/0. Let me check source IP address is 10.1 or not. Yes, source IP is 10.1 and source MAC is this or not. Yes, source MAC is this one. And now switch will forward one copy from here also, one copy from here also, one copy from here also. And if this time this attacker is going to generate ARP reply message, source IP is going to be 10.1.1.100. It will snoop the source IP address and destination MAC. It will say their own MAC address 3 forward to switch, and switch is going to discard it because this is again ARP message. It will inspect. It will inspect this message, and when it will inspect, it will see take the receiving interface is 0/2. On the 0/2 source IP address is 10.3 and MAC address is this. It will not match. You can see it is not matching with ARP reply message. On this interface, source IP address is first of all 10.100. Going to this. Going to right. But right now switch have table, but switch is not inspecting the ARP message. Right now it is not inspecting. Right, you have to configure it. How you can configure it? Is there any other command? So IP DHCP snooping and binding, and then binding. After that, with MAC address interface and VLAN, we can filter the output. Okay. Here is database. Database is same. Packet forwarded. Here we need to equal ARP inspection. Command is going to be globally again IP ARP inspection. For which VLAN? For VLAN 1. Right? And after this command, after running this command on 0/1 interface, I am going to make it trusted Ethernet 0/1 IP ARP inspect. On any port you can configure this command where you don't want ARP inspection. When dynamic ARP inspection is enabled, the switch drop ARP packet if sender MAC address and sender IP address do not match.
So by default enable रहता है.
By default disable.
Okay.
And where it will match? It will match in DHCP snooping binding. There is one more command on the Cisco switch. This Cisco switch, you might have heard about IP source guard. Anyone have heard about this feature? IP source guard. Actually, it is used to bind the IP address on the interface of MAC address. IP address and MAC address on the switch interface. IP address and MAC address like DHCP. What to do? DHCP snooping binding table can be created by two ways, dynamically or statically. Dynamically you have seen, right? And through IP source guard you can do it statically. Like on my switch, I can say globally IP source binding, right? And after that MAC address. So let me say MAC address over here is one MAC address. So IP all. This is the MAC address of copy over here. Then VLAN to be 1. It is asking for the IP address, right? So what IP address you want to bind here? 10.1.1.1. Now you have to make sure that your DHCP server will always provide this IP address to PC1, right? So VLAN 1 IP address this one, and after that interface, then interface type is going to be Ethernet and ID 0/ like this, right? And so IP command is required on 0/0 IP verify. Now it will inspect, it will start verifying the source address every time. Whenever switch will receive traffic on 0/0, it will verify the source address. From where? From this table which you have created. So IP find Snoop. So IP DHCP. So 0/0 interfaces you can see removed from here. 0/0 interface, right? This is dynamic end. Finding. Here it is. You can see timer for this time for this entry is finite because this is a static method and these are through DHCP. These two entries are created with the help of DHCP snooping, and this is created statically. So statically also you can find IP address and MAC address to avoid ARP poisoning attack. Otherwise, switch is going to use DHCP binding table. The third security feature which we can discuss over here is VLAN hopping. Anyone have idea about VLAN hopping? VLAN hopping? You know about native VLAN, guys? What is native VLAN?
So for native VLAN, switch does not perform tagging,
Yes.
basically.
So with the help of native VLAN, there can be attack in the network. Which one? Which two? This link will be trunk link always. This link is going to be trunk link always. Let's say here I have some user. Here also have some server. Let's say I have one server here. For an example, this is FTP file transfer. IP address of this server is 10.1.100. IP address of this machine is 10.1. IP address of 2. What I am saying, for an example, these are the PCs in which VLAN? VLAN 10. Then server is also in VLAN. Everything is working fine. Now let's suppose here is one attacker. This attacker knows that your FTP server is in which VLAN?
10 में
10. Right, your FTP server is in VLAN 10. They are going to configure their port as dynamic desirable. What will happen? This link will become trunk link, and it is going to send one virus, and it will add tag of which VLAN?
10.
10. Tag of VLAN 10, and they have configured their interface like native VLAN on the trunk link is VLAN 10, and then it will forward to switch 1. Switch 1 is receiving traffic on this port.
Correct.
VLAN ID is?
So untagged VLAN is there, sir. Untagged traffic is there.
Untagged traffic.
Hmm.
Tag traffic means tag is the tag of
नहीं,
VLAN.
but we have done native VLAN as 10 on attacker PC, yeah, correct?
Yes.
Machine. तो सर VLAN 10 यहाँ पे भी है और VLAN 10 स्विच पे भी है, correct? Same native VLAN है. So untagged होएगा traffic,
Trunk
it will
link पे
pass
भी
through.
tag है. Tag.
हम्म.
So switch 1 is going to forward this traffic to switch 2 before performing tagging. If attacker is going to add the tag number 10 over here, they can use application to add the tag also. That is possible. Attacker can do this. And after that, if it will forward to switch 1, will switch 1 perform tagging?
No.
It will directly forward it to switch 2. Right? On this trunk link, guys, VLAN is 10 VLAN 1. Native VLAN is VLAN 1. So for VLAN 1 only, it is not
Tagging
performing
anything.
tagging. Right?
Yeah.
And this, if this receiving interface is a part of which VLAN?
10.
VLAN 10 only. They have configured their port in VLAN 10. If this port is VLAN in VLAN 10, then switch will forward it from which port? From the trunk port, and it will perform tagging. But if the attacker is going to add tag of VLAN 1 here, tag of VLAN 1, then switch will not perform any tagging on the trunk link, and it will forward to switch 2. When switch 2 will receive bit, see, attacker can add 2 tag here. Inside the packet tag is 10, and in the outer IP header tag is 1. Like, by the way, this outer header, outer tag is not required na here. Simply it can send the virus without any tag. If the receiving interface is a VLAN 1, then it will directly forward to switch 2 without performing tag. But switch 2 will forward this traffic in which VLAN? In VLAN 1 only, native VLAN. It will not forward to server. But if attacker is going to add VLAN 10 tag over here, then server 2 will forward traffic. Sorry, switch 2 will forward traffic to
FTP server.
FTP. Like switch 1 receiving interface is still in VLAN 1, but one traffic, the actual data is receiving with one tag. In that case, there will be, here is the tag value, tag of VLAN 10. So this time, if it will forward to switch 1 receiving interface is in VLAN 1, which is the native VLAN, it will forward the traffic from the trunk link without adding tag, and switch 2 will receive tag traffic, it will check tag value is VLAN 10, it will forward to server. But if switch is going to perform tagging over here, if switch is going to add VLAN 1 tag over here, then switch 2 will not forward it to server, yes or no?
So repeat again, sir.
If switch 1 will perform tagging here of VLAN 1, then after receiving traffic on switch 2 will check tag value is 1. That means it is native VLAN traffic. It will not forward traffic to the server.
Correct.
But as switch 1 is not performing tagging for native VLAN, switch 1 is forwarding traffic to server because there is tag of VLAN 10. So with the help of VLAN hopping, we can tell to our switch to perform tagging for native VLAN as well. What I am saying? VLAN hopping is used to tell our switch to perform support tagging for native VLAN also. Like sometime you will have some kind of attack with the help of native VLAN because switch is performing tagging for the native VLAN on the .1q encapsulation header. So there is very simple command you can add on the switch, that is VLAN.1q tag native, right? So simply you can say VLAN hopping is nothing but a feature on the switch which is used to perform tagging for native VLAN. Here I can say VLAN dot 1q tag and the native. This is the command. After running this command on the trunk link also it will start performing, sorry, it will start performing tagging for the native VLAN also. This is one very small topic of again layer 2 switching. The next security feature on the switch can be switchport port protected. Switchport port,
Protected.
or you can say protected port. You know, by default, all the ports of switches are unprotected. Unprotected. And all the unprotected port can communicate with each other. Even protected port can communicate with unprotected port. But two protected port can never communicate with each other. For an example, guys, I have one scenario. I have one switch here, and on the switch there are two server or two client, two employees, and I don't want to allow communication between these two devices. I don't want that this server 1 and server 2 should be able to communicate, or employee 1 and employee 2 should be able to communicate with each other. Both should be able to access internet. Both should be able to access remote site, but they should be not able to communicate with each other. Or like here I want PC1 and PC2 should not communicate with each other only. These two PCs should not be able to communicate with each other. PC1 can communicate with PC3, PC3 can communicate with PC, even both can communicate with router, with internet, but like requirement is very simple. Two switch ports should not be able to communicate with. Then what you can do, you can configure these two ports as protected. The two protected port cannot communicate. For now, if I am going to access PC1, and what is the IP address on PC2, guys? 10.2. If I will ping 10.1.1.2 from 10.1, you'll see ping will work.
एक बार गेटवे चेक करना सर, पिंग आ रहा है गेटवे का? नहीं आ रहा.
So find it.
तो यहाँ पे कुछ मैसेज आया है स्विच पे. Invalid
On
or
internet, MAC address is matching with finding.
sir 1/0 is our uplink to router. गेटवे का uplink है मतलब. सर 0/1/0 को एक बार ट्रस्टेड करेंगे आप? 1/0 को जो गेटवे पे जा रहा है। ट्रैफिक तो वहीं से जाएगा ना।
DHCP का मैसेज
सर आइडली तो करना चाहिए क्योंकि हमने DHCP सर्वर पे वी हैव कॉन्फ़िगर्ड गेटवे आईपी एज डिफॉल्ट गेटवे एज 1.1.
ट्रस्टेड और अनट्रस्टेड DHCP काम करता है ARP के लिए।
हिस्ट्री चला लेते हैं। Snooping denied. Invalid ARP on E0/0. VLAN 1 उसको भी डिसेबल कर दी।
ARP
ये कह रहा है ये आ रहा है लेकिन FFF होना चाहिए था। सर ये 0/5 आ रहा है ना? मैक एड्रेस क्या दिखाया आपने?
और क्या बोले, क्या दिखाया?
अब तो आपने दिखा दिया सर।
इंटरफेस
बाइंडिंग आईपी डाल दीजिए। अच्छा स्टार्ट ठीक है ऑल हो गया। आप पिंग करके देखिए। ये क्या क्या रहा है सर? रिक्वेस्ट आई है 0/0 से इनवैलिड और रिक्वेस्ट विलन 1 के लिए 10.1.1 का और डेस्टिनेशन का F होना चाहिए कह रहा है सर।
The ARP request source map. तो आई थिंक कि आपको ये सारे पोर्ट पे क्या करना पड़ेगा, ARP inspection trusted करना पड़ेगा, right? You have to make all the ports trusted for ARP inspection. This range has 0 like this IP ARP inspection. And now if I don't want that PC1 and PC2 communicate, then I can configure these two ports as protected. Interface range 0/0 and 1. Switchport protected. Command is switchport protected. After running this command, if I am going to ping one from PC2 from PC1, you can see ping is working. How you can verify it? So switchport so protected.
इंटरफेस स्टेटस में नहीं दिखाएगा सर।
So interface status. So interface /0 port
Tagging enabled, and then we got to negotiate this trunking on will protected true सर आ रहा है इसमें नीचे सर सबसे लास्ट में protected as true
अच्छा
इससे ऊपर थोड़ा सा
protected, yes. And on F1 /2 false, right? So see, the two protected ports are not able to communicate, or I can use show run interface is 0/0. So the port is protected or unprotected, right?
So
So can PC1 ping to PC3?
no
Yes. Protected port can communicate with unprotected.
unprotected okay
Only two protected port cannot
तो
communicate.
सर we can say that कि कोई भी unused port हो तो we can make it protected right या unprotected तो unprotected communicate नहीं करेंगे
But the service provider network, let's say I am using switch and through switch I am connecting multiple customer. Why you will use switch for the more ports? Because on the edge devices you need lots of ports to connect the customers, right? And we will always want that different customers should not communicate. The service provider is mainly responsible to separate the traffic of customers, so they can configure their ports as protected. Remember, like VRF, two VRF cannot communicate, right? Similarly, two protected port can not come. And here we are done with L2 security on the switch. These are the security feature on switch, on access switch or multi-layer switch. We have covered the all topics of switching.
So DIA and dynamic architecture.
This is the dynamic ARP inspection.
Okay.
सर प्राइवेट VLAN वाला भी एक तो
प्राइवेट VLAN है ना, तो for the private VLAN is not possible. What I will do tomorrow, I will give you the overview of private limited in first half an hour, right? Half an hour to 1 hour. The next class. And Rahul, all the December batch guys will have class on this weekend, right?
सर
For few
वीकेंड
topics, yes. For few topics, let me give you the name of that topics also, like QS, multicasting, IPv6, and there was one more topic.
सर इस
सर
वीकेंड can we
HSRP
avoid
VRRP भी डिस्कस करेंगे क्या?
हो चुका है अंजलि
हाँ?
HSRP VRP हो चुका है
हाँ? नहीं।
ये कुछ टॉपिक है मेरे दिमाग में एक टॉपिक और था। आपका कोई टॉपिक है तो बता के रखिए, इसको हम वीकेंड में कवर।
सर इस वीकेंड पे कैन वी अवॉइड इट मेरी शिफ्ट में एक्चुअली
इस वीक पे नहीं करना है तो हम लोग अगले वीक पे कर लेते हैं। आप
हाँ सर मेरी शिफ्ट है सर सैटरडे संडे दोनों दिन
HSRP VRRP सर कब डिस्कस किया? मतलब बीच में आई हैव लॉस्ट, सो
वो तो मुझे भी नहीं याद है।
परसों परसों हुआ था
अच्छा।
JLBP VRP HSR तीनों टॉपिक
One thing is
GLBP
pending.
सर एक PBR भी है इसमें
Policy
और
based
IPsec
in.
हाँ जी एंड IPsec अपना है देन वायरलेस का कुछ है अपना करेक्ट
हाँ, वायरलेस ही था जो मैं
जी
वायरलेस का एक छोटा सा अपना लैब होगा पीके। मैं आपको वायरलेस नेटवर्क डिजाइन करके दिखाऊंगा, उसी टाइम में आपको बताऊंगा कि ये वायरलेस नेटवर्क कैसे काम करता है।
करता है ठीक है सर डन
One more thing I want to show you, that is reservation. There is only one command, one extra command you need to run on DHCP server. If your DHCP is Cisco router, right, on the Windows server you can see how we can serve the IP address. Event में है Windows. You guys have Windows server in your event.
नो सर
Anyone have idea about Active Directory and the domain controller? those अगर आता होगा तो
यस सर।
वो कर सकते हैं ये DHCP वहाँ पे enable. This is my client. Please put yourself on mute. This is client machine. DHCP client. IP address from the DHCP server. Router 1 is my DHCP. But what I want, this client should always get, let's say 10.1.1.100. IP address of this DHCP server is the IP address of DHCP server is 10.1.1.100, and I want to reserve one IP address for the client machine. Client should always get IP 10.1.1.10, let's say the DHCP, right? of all here DHCP server. I need to get one pool config interface f0/0 no search and IP address 10.1.100 100.255.2 to exit IP DHCP pool Cisco and network 10.1.1.0 5525525 all gateway IP address at 10.1.1. server. So guys, if this client machine will request for IP address, maybe it will get .1. Maybe this client will get .1 IP interface f0/0 search and IP address DHCP. IP address DHCP and so IP is wait for some time. This machine will get IP from the DHCP server. And what IP address is assigned to PC1? 10.1.1.1. On the DHCP server also we can verify it. So IP DHCP binding. Fine. We are able to see the entry. Here we can also verify the DHCP port number is enabled or not, or which port number is enabled here. So if you will use command show control plane, so control plane host open port number, so you will see port number 67 is enabled over here, and on the client machine, so control, here I am using router, so I am not able to use command, but here you will see 68 port number is enabled. Now what I told you, I want to configure IP to this client machine 10.10 albase. So how I can bind it? I can bind it through MAC address. Through MAC address, I can bind the IP address on DHCP server. Like we are excluding the IP address, we can set the IP address on DHCP server. Go to config terminal mode and then IP DHCP pool. IP DHCP pool. Let's say pool name is client 1, and here I am saying host. Host IP address is 10.1.1.10. So this host should have this IP address albase. Submit mask 255.255.255.0. Right now I have to tell to DHCP how to identify this host. So to identify this host, I will say client identifier, client identifier, client identifier. And now if you will put question mark here, you can see it is asking for the MAC address. Right, so MAC address of client machine is so interface f0/0 include PIA. Yeah, this is the MAC address, right?
Correct.
So we can this MAC address, the DHCP has accepted, and now if I will try to get IP again from the DHCP server, interface f0/0, no IP DHCP address CP, then again IP, so IP is brief. Again it will get 10.1, 10.2 this time. It is getting 10. So what is the benefit of binding? So guys, everything is fine, but here you have to define the Ethernet standard also to identify the client. Before MAC address, here we have to set the standard, Ethernet standard. For Ethernet standard, I think identifier code is 01. So I am going to say 01 here, and after that I will put this MAC address. Take now. Configure F /0, no IP address, IP. Time I am expecting IP over here 10.10, so IP brief is 3. IP is 3. For 8.00. So quick
एक सेकंड
for the here.
सर कमांड तो यही है सर
First one
ये जो आप हाँ जी 01 फॉर इथरनेट मैक एड्रेस पहले
one ही है ना?
हाँ 01 लगा के देन द मैक एड्रेस ऑफ द इंटरफेस पहले आएगा 01 देन cc देन डॉट
ये कमांड आएगा ना, वो क्लाइंट आइडेंटिफायर
हाँ पहले आएगा क्लाइंट आइडेंटिफायर देन उसके बाद
01
में 01 देन फिर मैक एड्रेस का सर पहले 2 देन डॉट
पहले दो
cc डॉट cc देन डॉट देन 011 फिर 4 बार फिर डॉट फिर 4 बार फिर डॉट 00 कुछ ऐसा है फॉर्मेट मैं पिंग करता हूँ
यहाँ भी 0
एक सेकंड में आपकी हाँ लास्ट में 00 है सर
4 बार,
ऐसा कुछ है सर
लास्ट में 4
देखिए
डिजिट, एक
दो
डिजिट।
हैं दो हैं दो हैं हाँ
So in case F0/0 in
एक बार पेस्ट कर दी राइट क्लिक करके पेस्ट कर दीजिए देखते हैं आर वी मैचिंग द सेम CA देन ठीक है फिर 0246 ठीक है देन 48 ठीक है, 00, ठीक है, फिर .00, ठीक है सर फॉर्मेट तो।
enter 0/IP is DHCP. So IP is server को 2 so run section DHCP. No IP DHCP. This one. So run section. Now DHCP is not running. IP DHCP. Full Cisco network 10.1.1.0 to 5.5 default gateway IP address is .1.1.100 DNS server IP address .8 host 10.1.10 255.255.0 command menu work origin here for yes
सर एक हार्डवेयर एड्रेस करके एक
के
कमांड
लिए
होती है
अलग से बना
सर, एक हार्डवेयर एड्रेस करके कमांड और होती है सर, पूल में ही।
C46 double 50 DHCP काम कर रहा है देखो
अभी देखना क्या आईपी आया वहां पे।
नहीं है
अच्छा,
so IP bind
एक बार हार्डवेयर एड्रेस करके कमांड डालना सर। सिर्फ पूल बनाइए, आईपी डीएचसीपी पूल समथिंग जो भी नाम देना है, होस्ट आईपी एड्रेस दे दीजिए आप, एंड देन हार्डवेयर करके फिर उसका एड्रेस, दैट्स इट।
IP DHCP
सर क्लाइंट आइडेंटिफायर की जगह होस्ट डाल दीजिए सर उसको।
host hardware
नहीं, सिर्फ होस्ट एंड देन आईपी, होस्ट एंड देन आईपी।
.1.10 525
हाँ जी,
hardware
हाँ, अब वो वाला अपना कॉपी कर दिया एज इट इज, वो 01 लगा के। हम्म, हम्म,
is not taking. No worry, I will see the command if I am missing any command here. Okay. So like this, you can reserve the IP address with MAC address for your servers or for any special devices.
ठीक है sir.
Right, but these commands are applicable on this router only, right? 3275 on this router I am able to run this command, but on 7200 routers I am not able to run this command. So maybe in your GNS3 will not work. And generally we will be not using Cisco router, right, for the DHCP server. In the small organization only we are using like enabling DHCP service on routers or switches. The large medium size organization we will have always DHCP server, Windows Server 2022 19, maybe older version. All the Windows Server we can configure the DHCP